While you were busy working, raising your children, and trying to even just survive by inflation, your government was plotting behind closed doors to label you a domestic threat. You probably already knew that. But thankfully, Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrat who switched sides, we now have the freaking receipts. She just declassified a bombshell document from the Biden regime, one that outlines how they plan to weaponize the government against you. Now, we're talking conservatives, Christians, gun owners, and anyone who dare to think differently. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is their plan in writing, and I'm going to break it down for you piece by piece. And don't make any mistake. This will be the plan in 3 years. And I'm going to talk to that in a moment. Now, if you look here at these documents, this is from the Department of Justice, finalized, stamped, and approved by federal deputies. You see that? Finalized, approved by deputies. Now we can jump down here to the meat of it, Pillar 4, which is confront long-term contributors to domestic terrorism, i.e. you. But I mean, it sounds reasonable because you're like, okay, yeah, let's get rid of terrorists. That is until you read what they really mean. Quote, rein in the proliferation of ghost guns. Encourage extreme risk protection orders. Ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Now, let me ask you, what does banning an AR-15 have to do with terrorism? What does restricting law-abiding citizens from owning firearms have to do anything? You know, they're trying to put this in with January 6th. Nothing. Nothing. This isn't about terrorism, guys. This is about control. And it gets worse. They didn't stop with guns. They also wanted to use public health crisis, hate crime laws, and big tech partnerships as a Trojan horse to silence political dissent. You would think this is communist China. That's what it sounds like. The plan literally calls for using mental health data, social media content, and bias reporting systems to build a threat profile on American citizens. Oh, you voted for Donald Trump. You question government mandates. You go to church every Sunday and post Bible verses. Congratulations. You're now under Biden's DOJ that made you a person of interest. Sound very similar to what they did with Operation Mockingbird, because this is nothing new. Let me take you back to Operation Mockingbird, a CIA program from the Cold War that placed assets in major American newsrooms to shape public opinion. Yes, inside the United States, this is something they're not supposed to do. The media wasn't just biased. They were run by the freaking intelligence community. That was the 50s and 60s, right? Let me post a clip of a lady talking about it real quick.
Back in the 1950s, there was that whole Operation Mockingbird thing, which was never formally confirmed by the CIA. But of course, that was the operation where CIA operatives worked with U.S. media to shape the messages that came out of the media. And it was purportedly supposed to have hit at hundreds of journalists and reporters. And that's something that has been reported and used in different terms.
What was the message that they were trying to get across in this?
It varied. It went on for years, right. And it wasn't just domestic, but it was also to slant and shape how government officials worked with foreign officials as well. But don't take my word for it. Look it up.
Well, we have aspects of the government, the USIA, Voice of America.
So, guys, that was the 50s and 60s. Fast forward to today. And they don't even need covert operations for this. They've got Twitter, Google. They got YouTube throttling videos just like this one. So you have them essentially conducting the same operation, maybe a different name, by silencing you, removing the First Amendment, So this whole plan was to remove the First and Second Amendment. And if you think they wouldn't go that far, or people wouldn't go that far, how many people are on board? Think about the hokey pokey and there's just dissent amongst the populace with each other. Let me remind you of something called the Milgram experiment. I've talked about this a lot. I'm going to play a video, okay?
How we respond to authority. In order to understand how people were induced to obey unjust regimes and participate in atrocities such as the Holocaust, he set up an experiment. Volunteers were told they were taking part in scientific research to improve memory.
Would you open those and tell me which of you is which, please? Teacher. Learn.
So one is a teacher, one is a learner. Okay, you got a guy here in a lab coat. Looks completely official.
Separated by a screen, the teacher would ask the learner questions in a word game and administer an electric shock when the answer was incorrect. He was told to increase the voltage with each wrong answer.
Cloud. Horse. Rock. House. Answer. Wrong. 150 volts. Answer. Horse.
So he's electrocuting the guy that he can't see, that he met in the beginning, in the room when he answers a wrong question.
Experiment, that's all. Get me out of here. Get me out of here, please.
Continue, please. Go right on.
I refuse to go in. Let me out.
Refuses to go in. The experiment requires you continue, teacher. Please continue.
Participants didn't know that the learner was really an actor and the so-called shocks harmless.
You're gonna get a shock. 180 volts.
I can't stand the pain. Let me out of
Can't
here.
stand it. I'm not gonna kill that man there. I mean, who's gonna take the responsibility if anything happens to that gentleman? I'm responsible for anything that happens here. Continue, please. All right, next one. Slow. Walk.
So even he sees he's causing pain to someone, he doesn't want to continue doing it, but he still does because of fake perceived authority. The guy in a lab coat that's just telling him he needs to continue.
Dance, truck, music.
Two-thirds of volunteers were prepared to administer a potentially fatal electric shock when encouraged to do so by what they perceived as a legitimate authority figure. In this case, a man in a white coat.
375 volts. I think.
Think about the hokey pokey. But what they found is that 65% of people were willing to administer lethal shocks to a complete stranger just because an authority figure told them to do so. Now imagine what millions of Americans are willing to do when the government tells them that you're a terrorist for loving God, family, or country. Think about it. Let it sink in for a moment, because that's the realities of what we're seeing. We're seeing people destroy Teslas. We're seeing all kinds of lefties just losing their minds because CNN told them so, right? Now, it's not hypothetical, because in 2023, the FBI's Richmond Fields office actually labeled radical traditionalist Catholics as potential domestic terrorists. We've talked about this. We did videos on this. They even talked about infiltrating Catholic churches to gather intelligence. So your beliefs, your prayers, your sermons are treated like threats to national security. They don't fear extremism. They fear conviction. They fear people they can't control. Because a man grounded in truth is harder to manipulate than a puppet begging for safety, because that's what we have. Puppets begging for safety. Oh, give me another booster. So let's call this what it is. This document was never about protecting America. It was about protecting the regime. It's psychological warfare. It's fourth generation conflict. It's turning your neighbors into informants and your faith into a red flag, or what you post on Twitter or X. You're not extreme, guys. You're awake. And that scares the hell out of them. Now, I do want to give a cautionary tale. Okay. People are getting weak. I see it. They think Donald Trump is president, everything's fine. I've said this for the past few weeks. I see it. If you look at your social media, everything is just kind of bland. And it's creating weak men, weak people. What do you think is going to happen in 3 years? They're definitely going to take the reins back. And a lot of people are like, no, they'll never get back because of Trump. Listen, Donald Trump, you know, he jokingly said he was going to run again, but likely not happening. Likely not happening. You know, a lot of people say, well, people vote for Vance. They're not going to vote for J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is not a brand like Trump. Trump is a completely different breed. Okay. He was able to get votes that no one ever would. J.D. Vance will not be able to pull that. I don't care that he's the vice president. He will not be able to do it. I'm telling you right now. A lot of black Americans voted for Donald Trump this go around. Now, if they put in a real black opponent, not like Kamala Harris, who's not, right? And then that's why she didn't get the vote. But if they put in someone like Steven, what's his name? Steven Smith or whatever, the ESPN guy, they're talking about putting him in. Trust me, that vote will go. J.D. Vance will win. They'll get the reins back. They'll get their puppet in place, and they will get control and put this plan into place. Mark my words. Call me a liar. Call me a dumbass. In 3 years, talk to me, because that's what's going to happen. So right now, you need to be getting trained, get armed, get spiritually strong, because this war isn't being fought with bullets. It's being fought with labels, policies, algorithms, and surveillance. They labeled us extremists. Good. Let's give them something to be afraid of. Right? And before I forget, because I am a product company, I just make these videos. I should just make videos about my company and not worry about this kind of nonsense. Because everybody's like, why are you always trying to pitch a product? Because my company is a product company. I started it. The YouTube came later. Then for 10 years, I only did my survival stuff. And then all of a sudden I said, I'm tired of this mess. Let me be a voice in the distance. Anyway, our premier knife, the BSS 5. I'll try to make these things affordable to every American, right? It's got the divot so you can make a friction fire rubbing sticks together, put the spindle in here. I've got videos on how to do that, but it's got it on both sides, ambidextrous, so that way if you're right or left-handed, it's designed to be a combat survival knife. So not only for field craft, but also fighting, hence the shape. My years of training Kali knife fighting played a part into this. But also we had these amazing American-made sheaths, handmade American-made sheaths. You can pick up also handmade ferro rod. It's got machine ferro rod that comes with it. But this is, again, made here as well, Delrin. Very good quality ferro rod, so you can make fire. You got your blade and your fire making kit all in a safe place, right? So you have to buy these separate. But anyway, this is a scout sheath. So what it does is you put it in the small of your back here. That's how I like to wear mine, because obviously I probably got a pistol on the side here. So I want to have this in the small of my back. That way I can reach it and get it. And if I'm crawling or things like that, obviously I want it out of the way. Maybe I'm trying to low crawl somewhere or something. You put this in your battle belt. You can just put it in your bag or what have you. But go pick them up. And because, man, having a good blade is critical. But guys, hit like, drop a comment, share this before they bury it. Then go check out the link. Obviously, you can get a lot of gear from us. Train up. We got training on the site. Join a community that we have that still believes in liberty, which is the Black Scout Tribe. And obviously, always stay frosty, stay strapped, always stay dangerous. Take care.